Aloha gang, Dr. Russ Rosen here, and welcome to the OHC System Community Masterclass. Right, that's what it is. It's my second masterclass, and I'm excited to be able to share this with you. If you are there, go ahead and comment. I'm going to see if I can figure that out today and see if it shows up on my other computer. Um, and if you have any questions, you're going to let me know. Um, and obviously, if you're watching this after it's recorded, if you have any questions, just post them, and I will come back and answer anything I can. So here's what I know to be true. What I know is that each and every one of us, we want to get great results. We want to be able to help our patients. We want to be able to do the right things. And sometimes we have fears, and sometimes we have frustrations, and sometimes we have negative self-talk. And we realize that these are not helpful. In fact, they can literally become a self-fulfilling prophecy of what we don't want to have happen. The exact thing we don't want to have happen ends up happening because of this negative self-talk. And the question is, what can we do about it? There's we all have been here before where we recognize that negative self-talk, that obsessive compulsive voice has a mind of its own. So is there anything we can do about it? And if so, what can we do about it? And what I want to do is I want to share with you some of the favorite techniques that I have found that really work. And this is a huge part of my coaching practice. I'm always looking at headspace and procedures. The headspace piece is huge. So let's go ahead and we're going to dive into some of the things that we can do. Now, from our last masterclass, we had talked about Ayn Rand saying when we have contradictions, it can lead to destruction, and the level of destruction is equal to the level of contradiction. And if you went through that module, that masterclass, and really started thinking about it, you recognize that this is true. So there's a whole lot to this mindset stuff. Obviously, volumes of books written on it. I've been studying this stuff since '78. It's been a huge part, and so has my dog Rox. She's been studying this stuff for a long time too, um, and it's been a huge part of my life. So I'm just going to give you some of my favorite strategies. Okay, here we go. Mindset. The first thing we need to understand is thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to behaviors, behaviors lead to present, present leads to future. Now, these can be conscious thoughts or subconscious thoughts. Regardless, it's a thought leads to a feeling, leads to behavior, leads to actions, leads to present, leads to future. You're all charged. You're having a bad day. You left your kids, this is going on, and your spouse, this is going on, and you go to the bank and you're all charged up, and somebody steps on your foot, and you, not like your normal self, just punch him right in the face, and you end up in jail. Thoughts, all this nonsense going on at home led to feelings, frustration led to behaviors, led to present, punching someone in the face, led to future, ending up in jail. Okay, I mean, this is just how this stuff works. So one of the questions that people ask is, well, how do I know if I have these contradictions? And there's a lot of different ways. From a conscious perspective, you can just look around, and like if you want to run, it's Rosen Optimal Health and Wellness Center, but my sign says Rosen Pain Clinic. Like, that's an obvious contradiction. You look around your office and you see, the magazines that you have, the signs you have, the posters you have on your walls, the things that you're saying. So one of the first homework assignments I give, which will be in our next master class on communications, is I want you to listen to every thought, word, deed, and action. And my wish for you is misery. My wish for you is that you will start to notice all the contradictions, because most of us have them. There's also subconscious contradictions. So I like to look at this, and we're going to do it real quickly. I go into this deep in the club on Thursday, but there's something called thermostats. If you've studied transactional analysis, they talk a lot about this. But the way a thermostat works is right now outside it's probably like 104, 105 degrees out. We have an air conditioner on. The way the thermostat works is we set it at, say, 74 degrees. So at 76, it'll click on and it'll cool us down to 72, and it'll click off and it'll warm back up to 74, and it'll click on, and that's how a thermostat works. And we all have thermostats in every aspect of our life. Think of them as tanks in your brain. How much money will I allow myself? Most of us will look at our bank account and it will stay within a very certain range, right? Bill Gates, that might be, $8 billion. For somebody else, it might be $100,000 in the bank. And if I get too uncomfortable, I'll pull my head out and I'll do what I need to do to change it. Or if I get too much money, I will be out of my comfort zone. That thermostat is a comfort zone. And so I will self-sabotage to decrease that money. And you can see it in other people all the time. You have friends, you have family members that you can see. They sabotage themselves all the time. And then it gets bad enough and they pull their head out and they go ahead but they stay in this very narrow range. And that might be, how much love do you allow yourself? How much intimacy? How much money? How many new patients? What your sign-up rate is? How many patient visits? What your retention is? Like any and all aspects of your life, most of us, if you really look, we live within a certain thermostat range. And a lot of what I do when I'm working with my clients is how do we acknowledge those and how do we raise those, right? When you raise the thermostat, things just happen. You don't have to give it much thought. It just happens because that's your comfort zone. So we want to do less of the self-sabotaging and more of just bringing that up. Okay. If you've ever heard The Secret or the Abraham recordings, Esther Hicks talks about, or Byron Katie, they talk about your feelings, how you feel as a guidance system. That if it doesn't feel good, you can start to notice physiologically you're breathing shallow, your stomach is getting tight, you're sweating, you're feeling anxious. Like these are the kinds of things that can let you know that most likely you're having a negative internal dialogue, conscious or subconscious. So look, we all get stressed. That isn't the question. We all get mindset issues. We all have negative self-talk. We all have this internal dialogue. That isn't the question. The question is, can we notice them, and then what do we do about them? So again, here are some of my favorite things to do about it. One, we need to ask the right questions. So every single question has a presupposition. And I want you to think of your reptilian brain as Google. And when you're thinking, your reptilian brain is always looking for survival, period. It wants you to survive. So it's scanning all the time looking for danger. It's scanning all the time looking for danger. It's looking to find answers to the questions you typed into your reticular activating system's Google. When I purchased my first Corvette, which I'm actually selling right now, on island, there were no Corvettes on island. And I happened to see this one. I really wanted to buy it, so I bought it. And when I was driving it home, and I never saw any Corvettes on island. When I was driving it home, I saw like 5 or 6 different Corvettes, and they all waved at me and flashed their lights and honked at me. And it was really crazy because my reptilian brain was not looking for Corvettes. I never saw one, but once it was looking for them, they're all over the place, right? That's how our Google search or reticular activating system works. So when you ask a question, Google search is going to try and prove the answers to that question. So if you have a presupposition that I'm in trouble and I'm going under, Google search is going to search in your whole world of ways to prove that you're right, that you are in trouble and you're going under. Why don't I have enough new patients? What's wrong with me? That's what you'll keep seeing more of. And as importantly, the answers that are right in front of you of what you could do for more quality new patients or whatever it is you're looking for, you simply won't see them because there's a blind spot. Because your reptilian brain, which is all about survival, your reptilian brain is looking for proof that you suck. Okay? And it won't see solutions to your problems. So, it could be, what do I need to do to be the person that rises to the top? That would be a question that would lead to a different presupposition. What can I do right now to attract even more new patients? How do we get our patients to get even more value of our care? How can I be a beacon of light in my community? Those are the kinds of questions that will bring to you the types of answers you're looking for, and your reptilian brain, Google search, will find those, just like it found those Corvettes. So that's just something to play with. Start to look at the questions you're asking, recognizing what the presupposition is. Okay, now, one of my all-time favorite books is called Loving What Is by Byron Katie. It is one of my all-time favorite books in helping me find and keep my center. The work is called The Work. You can Google her online. You can go YouTube. She got tons of videos. You can put in Byron Katie, The Work, and cancer and divorce and financial ruin and whatever. And she has these wonderful videos on these subjects. What I like about it is it's so simple, it's so powerful, and it works right now. And for me, I notice, and I do NET, and I've done EMDR and all kinds of things. Again, I've been studying this stuff since 78. To me, I have found that it gets into the subconscious part. It's not just a conscious thing that we get like with talk therapy, but it drops right down into the subconscious and it makes changes for us. So there's a couple of basic tenets that she lives by. And again, you can read the book, you can listen to the book, Loving What Is by Byron Katie. You can go watch a video of her describing it. The few basic tenets are, one, that I'm not going to argue with reality, because when I do argue with reality, I lose, but only 100% of the time. And the second is, if it doesn't feel good, I'm probably lying to myself. I know that that sounds crazy, but if you get into this stuff, you'll really go, oh, wow, that's true. So if I don't feel good, I'm probably telling myself an untruth. Okay? So the basic formula goes like this. There's 4 questions and a turnaround. The first question is that true? The next question is that 100% true? Like, from 10,000 foot view or God's perspective, is that 100% true? The next question is, when you think that thought, how do you feel and how do you behave? And then the next one is, if you could drop that thought, which you can't, right? Pink elephant, try and drop that thought. You can't. But if you could drop that thought, I always say, if I could frontal lobotomy you and you couldn't think that thought, how would you feel right now? And then we do the turnaround. So here's an example. I work with doctors all the time that have been 10 years in practice, 20 years in practice, 30 years in practice. I worked with a doc 46 years in practice who had never really thrived at the level that he wanted to. And we're starting to learn new things, and things are starting to come along, and he's getting out of his thermostat. He's pushing up against that comfort zone that keeps him down here, that whispers to him, you're a failure, you'll never make it. And that's all it takes, is a whisper. So he doesn't learn the things he's supposed to learn. He doesn't integrate them. She doesn't try. Like, these are just the things that happen. It's how it works. So when I'm working with these doctors, and I tell them it's coming, right? So we're working on the procedures. I tell them, when we start to get, you start to feel better and you start to notice that your things are working, people are signing up for care, etc., you're going to self-sabotage. This is how it works. And when it happens, I need to deal with this. I might deal with it using NAT. I might use this work here. But classically, it'll be, I'm never going to make it. This is never going to work. Okay, fair enough. Remember, thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to behaviors, behaviors lead to action, action leads to present, present leads to future. So is it true that I'll never make it? Yeah, like I'm never going to make it. Is it absolutely true? It's 100% true. There's no possibility that you're going to make it. Well, maybe not. Okay, fair enough. When you think that thought, how do you feel? I feel terrible. And when you feel terrible, how do you behave? Well, I don't behave well. I don't do the things I should do, right? And think about what happens with your next new patient when you're thinking you're never going to make it and you suck, right? It becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy that you didn't want to have happen. So if you could drop that thought, which you can't, but if you could drop that thought, I suck, this isn't, I'm never going to make it, and you look at all the things we're doing right now, like we learned how to do a consult, we learned how to do an exam, we learned how to do the report of findings, people are starting to sign up for care. When you look at the truth, and you could drop the thought that I'm not going to make it, how would you feel right now? I feel great. I feel like this is actually starting to work. So then I do the turnaround. Is it at least as true or truer to say the opposite? Is it at least as true or truer to say that I will make it? And there's several other versions of that, and we'll be diving really deep into that in the club. If you want to come on Thursday, you're welcome. But what I'm going to be doing is not just examples, but if you are in the club, I'm going to be asking you your negative internal dialogue, and I'm going to walk you through it and help you start to clean it up and shift that stuff. And it really helps on the subconscious level, just take that stuff out, which raises that thermostat so you can start to create the practice and life of your dreams. Another one that I like a lot is giver, gift, value to me as a result. Giver, gift, value to me as a result. One of the ones that came up when I was reviewing these notes, I did a recording on this in the during the pandemic, and one of the doctors that I was working with was saying how the pandemic was ruining his life, and they shut down his practice. He wasn't allowed to go in to his practice. So I said, okay, well, let's look at this. The giver is the pandemic. Giver, give, value as a result. So the giver was the pandemic. Nothing you could do about that. And again, as long as the pandemic is ruining my life, I'm a victim. And victims lose, but only 100% of the time. So I've got to get this doctor out of that victim mentality, out of that negative internal dialogue, because that's what drops the thermostat. Okay, so the giver is the pandemic. The gift is quarantine, and the practice is down. The value to me, so we talked about what are things you could do right now. You can't go into your practice. What could you do? So, well, I could really study your stuff. I could get this stuff wired. I can reinvent myself. I could spend time with my family, etc. Okay, good. And this doctor did that. So when they got back into practice, they really did well. So the value to me is I can take time to reinvent myself. That's the value. As a result, so if as a result, I could look back at this 20, 30 years down the road and I could say, wow, look how much better my life was because of the pandemic. If that were true, would this have been a valuable experience? And the answer is yes, absolutely. So it's all perspective. This is all perspective, right? For you, jumping out of a plane might be stressful. For me, it's one of my favorite things on the planet to do, right? It's just perspective. That's all there is to it. So these are things to help shift our perspective. It's about, reframing, believing it, feeling it. And again, you'll be amazed at what happens when you do this stuff. And it's not like you have to do it once and it's better forever. It takes time, but this is what works. Or these are some things that work. Okay. Another one that I love is the have to, choose to, because. Have to, choose to, because. Again, if you have to do something, you're a victim. It's not your choice. And victims lose, but how often? 100% of the time. Okay. So I will do this with people that are coaching with me, and they'll go, God, man, it's like, I spent an hour yesterday studying your material, and I got to spend another hour today, and I just have to do this stuff. And I like to reframe that because have to, I become the victim. So I don't have to do all this work right now. I choose to do all this work right now because. So I'll ask doctors, well, why are you choosing to do this work right now? No one's got a gun to your head. Why are you choosing to do it? Well, I'm choosing to do it because I want to grow my practice. I want to serve more people. I want to get better results. I want to make more money. I want to take care of my family. I want to have more vacations. All right, that's why you're choosing to do it. So knock it off and quit lying to yourself that you have to do this. You don't have to do it. You're choosing to do it because. So again, that's a really wonderful one. Lots of other things you've all heard about. Gratitude journals are really fantastic to do. one of the things that I do, especially like at any time, but especially right now, stop watching the news. Get off of social media. Like, knock it off. That stuff is killing us. It's got us addicted to the drama and to the trauma, right? You maybe, once a day check in of what's going on if you feel that you need to. But, I've had a lot of docs that I've worked with that are in trouble, mental health wise, real trouble. And just like getting off of that, all of a sudden they can start to gain ground again. Those are again, some things. You want to you want to be able to set objectives and achieve those objectives. Get clear about where you're at, where you want to get to, why you want to get there, and then who will do what by when and how. Who will do what, when and how. Last couple I think are valuable is get an accountability partner. Those are really huge, to have an accountability partner. Get a mentor like me. There's no question in my mind, you want to grow an optimal health kind of practice and you mentor with me, one-on-one mentorship, I'll rock your world. I will change your life. Um, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I got this stuff figured out. Lead your team, lead your patients. These are things that we can do. So before I head out, I'm just gonna check and see if I can see me live. Okay, and I can't see me live, and I have no idea why I can't see me live. But if you do have any questions, please post them. If you felt there was value to this, please let me know. If there are other things you'd like me to talk about, please let me know. Post questions. I'll make videos on those things. This Thursday in the club, we're going to be diving way deeper into this stuff. I will be taking these specific concepts and I'll be walking you through that. I'll be helping you through that. And then we're going to be diving deeper into some very specific concepts. We're going to be diving deeper into some very specific concepts on the subconscious contradictions and what to do about those. So I hope that you found this valuable. I hope that you will let other colleagues know about this, because look, this stuff works. It really does. And I would really appreciate it. So as always, much love and aloha. Bye, gang.